Well, arresting innocent people. Tonight, the tables are turned on a former Nassau County deputy.
He's facing charges of perjury and lying to law enforcement. The sheriff says Kyle Thal falsified police reports and arrested people who were not guilty of committing any crimes. Julia Janae is on your side tonight. She learned an investigation is underway to find out how many cases could be impacted.
We don't tolerate anybody being untruthful.
Kyle Thal is a former Nassau County deputy. He was fired and arrested after Sheriff Bill Leeper says he lied.
He stated in his arrest reports that he field tested drugs when actually he did not.
According to court records, Thal pulled drivers over, reported that he found drugs, but never verified if the drugs were illegal. Yet he would still make an arrest. The Nassau County Sheriff's Office is aware of at least 4 cases.
It undermines your credibility, and police officers have to have credibility when they go into court of law. And once you lose that, you can no longer be a law enforcement officer.
Thal faces misdemeanor charges of perjury and falsifying a police report. His maximum penalty, if convicted, would be 5 years. As for some of his alleged victims,
some of the clients that we've had were not able to bond out. They sat in jail several days or weeks before we were able to clear this up. Many of them have lost their jobs, they've lost their vehicles, they've lost their homes, they've suffered financial hardships because of it. They've had to deal with having this arrest on their criminal record, which they'll have to explain going forward.
Assistant Public Defender in Nassau County, Tom Townsend, says this is a scary situation.
The idea of a police officer either being this negligent or being this malicious is very scary stuff, considering that he's putting people in jail.
Despite the arrest, Leeper says First Coast families still can trust his office.
I want our citizens to know that we have some good people working here. Those that decide to do bad things will no longer work here, and I will make sure that they will no longer work as a police officer.
That was Julia Janae with that report. Prosecutors have also filed charges against this Clay County homicide detective. Mark Andrews is accused of staging a crime scene after a hit and run. Authorities found his abandoned patrol car just a few houses from his home this past New Year's Day. Andrews claimed it was stolen while he was asleep, but investigators say records show he was making calls on his cell phone and using his work laptop when he was supposed to be sleeping. And witnesses told police they saw him drinking near the crash site. He is charged with false reporting of a crime and leaving the scene of an accident.